Hey everybody, I'm going to try to multitask a little bit today. What I want to talk about are default user accounts. Basically, what these are, where to find them, and the exposures that come with them. So let's look at this in a home scenario first, and think about your router, your Wi-Fi, hell, even your modem that you get from your internet service provider. These all come pre-programmed with a default user and password to allow you easy access to the device. Even if you use this through an app, it's all there. It's all credentials that are built into a lot of the systems. So there's usually a warning these days that say, hey, make sure to change your password from the default. And the reason for this is it's just, again, another method of securing what you're using. Because the danger in this case is, even if it's somebody that you've allowed on your network, you've given your Wi-Fi key, they could have a compromised device that's running some kind of malicious code that is trying to sniff out what else is on the network. And that's when you open yourself up to exposure of, having something that is important be compromised, and you may not even know it. So it's a real easy thing to fix, but let's apply this now to a business situation. Since most of the world does run on Windows and Microsoft, this could be any sort of on-premises server setup, which would be utilizing what's called Active Directory. Or, if you're using Azure, something in the cloud, same thing applies, just slightly different configurations. What you can normally see here is there will be typically a default administrator account or admin that's built into the system that has what we call elevated privileges, which will allow them to modify or change other users, and in an Active Directory environment, the user groups. So these are basically groups that have different levels of privileges, and it's made for easy use of like segmenting your network. Well, okay, imagine what happens if you have an account that, say, you've offboarded an employee, but you haven't removed it. Something gets on your system. Well, what if this account has elevated privileges? Okay, they can change themselves, put them into another group, modify their users, create new users that can sit on your system, and you may have no idea that are there. And all they're doing is scoping out your network. They're moving laterally inside the network, and it's not a detectable thing because this is just kind of, IT work. So the danger in this is you can have a lot that gets compromised. You can get other credentials that are compromised, other systems being taken over by somebody that's not the legitimate user. So there's a lot of dangers that go with this. What I recommend is really have a conversation with your IT people. Make sure they're routinely checking your Active Directory. Any users that no longer need to be there, make sure they're disabled. Make sure there are routine checks on the groups, because one of the other dangers too is if you get an elevated user that's changing group policy content, that can affect a lot of other things and just create a lot of problems. Perfect example, I took over a business years ago with my IT company, and we found that there was a very nasty network virus that had been running, pretty much driving them crazy for about 2 weeks. Well, we tracked this down to how it was propagating, because there was an old employee that hadn't been removed, the password hadn't been changed, and that account was compromised, and whoever had initiated this attack basically tried to hide the account. Well, once we discovered it, we disabled it. That stopped the spread, but we still had to do a cleanup. So in the end, it still cost them quite a bit of money. But anyway, just a couple quick points. So when it comes to your home devices, if you want to know what these are, just whatever product you have, Google that device brand, that device model number, and put the words default password, and you'll see a whole list of stuff. So let's put it this way. If I took over an account and I needed to get my way in, a lot of times I would just Google, like, okay, this is a Canon IR ADV printer. Well, it's usually either admin and a bunch of ones, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, even without having to Google it, I could sit there for just a few minutes, and 9 times out of 10, I'd usually get in. If I go into somebody's, home, need to look up their, have to reset their router. Well, they don't have any information. Well, most of these are admin, password, just basic default combinations. And if you leave these, again, there's a lot of risk there. So a couple quick things you can do. But as always, if you have questions, comments, want more info on the subject, reach out. Happy to provide. So have a good one.